Right here. Smart dust is already everywhere.
Smart dust is everywhere. We can make a t-shirt. New merch. Smart dust is everywhere.
Right. Microscopic spy sensors, right?
Oh, gotta
Um,
love them. Love them all.
how does that fit in, really? And well, I was already going to show you guys some stuff about
Oh,
where that
adding the
gets.
microplastics, my day is getting better.
Yeah, you got to
Better
add
by
some.
the second with the microplastics and the nano dust. Oh, this is an ultimate day.
Right. So you have no idea whose dust is going where. We'll put it that way. Whose dust, what it does, where it's at. We know it's in the food. We know it's in the drinks. We know it's in all the products. You're consuming it. And before we go woo woo with what they could do with microplastics in your body, just the microplastics itself, the forever chemicals that go along with it, are toxic, and they're everywhere. They're in your grass. They found it at the peaks of the Colorado Rockies in the snow. It is saturated on our planet, so it's everywhere. So this is similar to the science of saturation, which is the science that they use when drug dogs pull you over, and or not, the dog doesn't pull you over, excuse me, but the other people pull you over. Then they use a dog, and they have what's called the science of saturation, meaning that the dog will hit on it, because if you have something in there, just like say it's a burrito, burritos aren't illegal, but that dog would go in there and it would know how long ago, where exactly the burrito's at, like everything you touched after you touched the burrito, because there's these microscopic particles that the dog's smelling. It has a great nose. And, depending on how saturated your car is, or your home, or anything. So you could switch this topic to anything. Say we were looking for gold at your house, and you have a
Not
little
my house,
detector.
dude. Shit, that's way out of my no gold here, bro.
Well, just
California is where the gold is.
right. Well, if you think about it, you can adjust typically many, many different sensors that are out on the market to detect microscopic particles of any substance. So in the reverse, you can add these microscopic substances to any, medium that you want: food, drink, water, nature, anywhere,
Fart.
anything. And you're talking about, or this photo is talking about surveillance revolution of how they can track these smart dust particles. So you think about, you're drinking it, and don't worry, for you limeys, we're not just picking on tea. For you coffee
Well, wait a
drinkers,
second. Those forever chemicals are not forever. They only last approximately, 10 to 20,000 years. So
right?
they're
You're
not
right.
really forever. It's just,
But if you're a coffee drinker per se, you're not
I
out
am
at.
a
So you're
coffee
not mixing
drinker.
on
I
the
do.
line.
I put coconut oil in the morning and use some C60 olive oil in that and try to rock it up for the day. L-theanine coffee, choline, and you know,
So
whatever else we have.
should we change this little QR code to say, buy us some microplastics?
Well, I don't ever think it sells as much as buy us a double espresso, buy us a cup of
Buy us some
microplastics.
microplastics.
Doesn't just roll off the tongue like that.
Well, my point being is these things, these microplastics, these smart dust, things that you can't see, are saturating the products. These tech companies are using them for various different reasons, but one of the main things that it's going to be used for is for those people that don't want to opt into the digital ID and the tracking system. We're going to find you
Wait,
wherever
explain
you're at.
that, how that, the smart dust mapping everything too. That was used for forest technologies for carbon sequestration and LiDAR overlaying to see what tree species density was on carbon sucked out of the atmosphere on a per basis, I guess on an acre, and then the number of trees within the acres. They could split it out, 7 or 8 different species of tree. But what are you talking about here? How are they going to be able to track you with that smart dust?
Well, it's the same
If
way
I don't
that
want to comply, I'm not going to give you my retinal scan to go in and buy a glass of wine somewhere. I'm out. I'll see you later. I'll make it at my
well,
house.
say you visit Starbucks, I'm not saying Starbucks is doing this so for people that get crazy, but let's use them for an example. If
If they
Starbucks
did.
opted into a program to allow smart dust in their cups and some of their products, you could just go in there
Oh,
and
I didn't
then
even
say,
think of that. Damn it. Every time you give that author, can this, yeah, oh, and think about what you need to sign to be online anyway. Now they're going to move it over into inserting some smart dust into your beverages, into your food, into your choices, into the restaurant, into your hamburgers. Can't
well,
believe it.
get the hang of it. It's basically the same science as, I don't know if you remember this, but back in the 90s, they had a revolutionary new science where they sprayed this chemical that had a specific DNA. And that DNA would catch, like it saturated the person. So they couldn't get away with it. If the police found them, they would scan them. That DNA would be on them, that chemical. It's just, like a high tech dye pack in the
That was
money.
after bank robberies, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was for bank robberies. But you noticed how that science just went quiet. You never heard of it again. It was really for a small time. And the reason for that is because they didn't want you to know that you could just be misted anywhere you went. Say you went to a government building, to a protest, and they could put out a fine mist in the air conditioning
Hmm.
system, and they can find every single person that was there, every piece of clothes, backpack, anything that was there that would tie you to that place. So when you see on TV
Damn,
these
that's
crimes,
deep.
you see these crimes on TV where they can't figure out stuff. They don't know who did what or where they went. They're BSing. There's
Because
something
you
that
could
they
take a
don't want you
sniffer
to know.
drone out there too. Really, you wouldn't even have to send people because chemical analysis through drones as well. Like you could just have drones sniffing that, literally sniffing out. What do you think those nuke sniffer planes are?
Right. Exactly. That's the same kind of relative technology of scanning little particles to know what and where something is. Um, but you see these things like this assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? And they come up with these blurry videos and photos of tracking the guy down, which is supposedly great police work. Okay, you found him. The problem with it is if you really do use some cognitive thinking, right? You really think about it, critical thinking, excuse me, deductive logic. Why is there no video of the same area where they show you the guy run off the building and jump off the building, which means they had a camera angle exactly right where the guy did the deed, supposedly. But there is no video of that. Matter of fact, there's no video of the guy even climbing up with a rifle. And then they came up with all these stupid theories about him deconstructing a 30-06 bolt action rifle and then putting it back together and then throw it in the woods. That's all silly. Anybody that's hunted knows that those guns, it takes a minute. There's things you got to do. It's not really, efficient. And if you're not, a hardcore military person that's proficient and breaking it down and putting it back together, you're not going to do that. But my point being with that is that every traffic cam, almost in every city, is tied to facial recognition software, and they can track anybody anywhere. And now that we know that they have literally military drones, and I know people that know about the topic know there was some funky drones in that area and some planes that are associated with certain alphabet agencies. But all that aside, the regular police, the regular state police, the regular police apparatus should have been able to use facial recognition and biometrics to track the guy down instantly, like within an hour. They would have known where he was.
Just
But for
driving every
some
camera.
reason, and then they rub it in your face that they do have the technology, but not when they need it, not when they want to figure something out for the public. It's not being used. But at the Tulsa State Fair, they're implementing drones and facial recognition and major surveillance expansion.
That's
And it's
crazy in
all
America. That's in the heartland. That's like literally in the heartland. So if they can get it there first, everywhere else will fall. Because that's considered like the bastion of the bastion, right? Like you're right in the middle of the growing zone. Like you're in the middle of like the cattle country, the grain country. Like, ain't nobody even step on the right side here, boy. They're gonna.
not to mention there's softwares where they could hack cell phones and other cameras to use in a net. They know. They can watch. They prove it over and over again by admitting that they took the data and they stored the data and they saved the data. So they have all the data. The question is why aren't they able to use it when some kind of dramatic event happens? Right? All of a sudden they don't know, they can't find out, there's a mystery. Nothing's being released to the public in the right way. And to top off that topic on a side note, um, I have experience shooting large animals with bolt action rifles and 30-06 in particularly, specifically, and several other things. And I have never seen any animal not have a giant exit wound from one of those guns. It's just
Yeah,
never.
and try like a bolt action 30-30 from like 1910 and see what kind of, you know, the
No,
residuals are coming out of that as well. Like
I'll
so
leave that.
these long barrels for like really for hunting with scoped rifle, like yeah, 30-30, 30-06, these kind of things.
Big game
308,
animals.
like these whole things, still tossing and turning. The modern world can really take a toll on your body's circadian rhythms, the internal clock. Curious about better sleep naturally? Check out these blueberry lemon sleep mushroom CBN gummies, reishi, lemon balm, valerian root, well, full spectrum hemp extract that may support a sense of calm. Ready for a better night's sleep? Click on that link in the description box below. Hemp Lucid Blueberry Lemon Sleep Gummies. But I will say one thing. Could I digress for a second? Even though we're all law-abiding citizens, there's a type of Rust-Oleum clear gloss that you can spray on your back license plate that reflects light at night, so you'll never get a ticket from a speed reader because it just doesn't the way the reflectivity is of this uh, spray on. It starts with an R, and
Infrared paint.
no, it's clear. It's totally gloss clear. I just want you to be extra safe so the cameras can read you. You should not do that. But I'm just saying there is something out there. If your plate's all reflective like that, that's not safe for anybody. So you wouldn't want to look into that Rust-Oleum clear spray anyway, because you wouldn't want. I'm just saying that there is a thing out there like that.
Well, what I mean is the paint is infrared paint. It's clear, but it reflects infrared paint. So whenever any
I
infrared
can't.
camera,
You probably know more than I do. I would have to dig in, and it's. I want to. I'm trying to make sure that no store sells any of these cans of paint, so I'm looking for it myself.
well, you can make it too yourself. But anyway, back to the
Yeah, now
surveillance.
how good is that anyway? Because they're talking about out here in East Tennessee, way out hella in this far away county, that these same cameras are pinging on different locations of. They're not so much hitting the person driving as they're recording the license plate of it as it goes by.
Right.
That's
And
something very different than snagging and tagging the driver, because that could be illegal here still,
no,
private company and all. But if they're getting the license plate, that's
well, it
something
wouldn't
different.
be illegal because any of those cameras are in the public access, and you can film anything in the public, whether you're the citizen or the government. Anything that the eye could see from the spot that the camera is totally legal. It doesn't matter.
Public, yeah.
Um,
But
but
maybe
this
they're
is so,
framing it that way because they don't want you to think that they're actually snapping everybody's photo as they're driving by. It's just the big thing is, oh, there's license plate readers all out here now. Do you think they're really license plate readers only, or do you think that they're also jumping in and snapping you through the front windows and everything, and side windows as you pass, and then rear windows looking in to see if you got a bald head like mine, and then your license plate?
well, this whole thing has been being built for a long time, and people are way behind on what it could do. And I want to show you this picture. Or let me save it, or I'll just move it over here.
Yeah, you got all the windows open. I saved everything over on Telegram, so we can jump through into the Civilization Cycle Telegram channel. I put up a lot of the images and stories that I wanted to talk about, just so I have that remembrance of what is important that I had images for. Also, Ransom uses the tabs here. All right, what do you got? It looks like an airport.
No, this is just on the road on Highway 54 to El Paso. This is what
What?
everyone
It
goes
looks
through.
like airport landing lights and all kind of high tech things to monitor runway takeoff taxi landing area. Like, what the hell? That's on a road?
Yeah. And it's at every
That's
border patrol
ridiculous.
station 90 miles inland along the entire border. All the roads have these. They're infrared cameras, there's license plate readers, there's facial recognition. This is the stuff that they have out there where they say that they didn't know all of these, people on terror watch lists and illegal aliens and
So we need
wanted
to track
criminals.
everybody because they're looking for a few bad apples.
Well, they don't ever find them. Look, that's the
No, they
fun.
never do. Did
But
they
they're
ever find
taking look.
anybody that tried to light their shoe on fire again on an airplane? Like that was the reason we had to take our shoes off. Did they ever find anybody trying to light their shoe on fire again? I don't remember.
No, they ran out of the army created PTEN explosive that all of the bombers used. That comes only from the U.S. military. But that's a side thing. The surveillance state is real. They've been using it for.
That's
This has
crazy. I
been
keep looking at that because my computer's offset anybody, so it's not directly in back here because it glows too much on my screen. So it's kind of off the side. I'm looking at this just going, can you bring that full screen, man? Can we get that image full screen there? That is just the craziest photo.
Let's see here.
Really, it is. I mean, that should not even be allowed in here
This
without your
is
permission of going through that. That's like Gestapo. What I can remember, like going back when the
public.
Berlin Wall was up. My recollection growing up as a kid being told it was on the Berlin Wall, and that's how much, then they had soldiers everywhere and the big old spotlights and everything, and dogs and the barbed wire and like multiple walls in between. It's not like one wall you get over, you're free. It's like multiple walls thing. This reminds me of that. I don't know why it does, but this reminds me absolutely of East-West Berlin. In my mind as a kid, like I see that's the exact same thing that I got as a imagery, and that's crazy, man. That is
Yeah.
really insane right there.
Well,
You're saying
it's
it's
in
like that
there.
multiple places. That's unacceptable for
Oh yeah.
one.
Well, it's in the public. So you really can't complain about it. The same thing that protects your First Amendment protects them, putting that out there. There's no privy to privacy in the public.
Am I allowed to put my own out there?
Probably, probably not unless you stand with it.
Probably not. See, why not?
You have to stand there and hold it. But this is an array of different things. This is license plate readers. This is facial recognition. This is infrared that looks through your car. There's drug sensors. There's human odor sensors. And they do take a picture of your face every time you go through this. And the reason kind of for that, say if I went to El Paso and I came back in an hour with 3 people and a bunch of cargo, and then I left and I came back again in an hour, they would know this person is going and picking up things and bringing it back. That's the justification. But it's kind of much worse than this because this is old stuff. Now we're using hardcore processing power, new sensors, brand new, great facial recognition software and things. So the idea that they don't know who's going where or when is silly.
They're
It's
really
completely.
locking the planet down now, aren't there? I remember, I hate to keep jumping in on you, but I was saying in the beginning of the Adapt 2030 channel, I kept saying they're going to lock the planet down hard when the food shortages start to come in because of this misalignment in solar magnetic fields, and the magnetic field declines on the planet. It's going to bend the jet streams. Precipitation patterns are going out of their flows. We're going to have yield declines across all major crops, and food's not going to grow correctly. Gardens aren't going to grow correctly. And just, I was saying a year before that, they were going to lock the planet down hard. Now, here's the thing. I misjudged myself on that because when COVID came, I was like, this is it. This is it. But that wasn't.
No,
This seems to be more it on the lockdown of look how hard they're going to be tracking people.
well,
That's crazy,
so
man. Yeah, I think I misjudged the first time with the COVID. You would have thought in our lifetimes that's got to be it. That's the lockdown for sure on the planet. This what I'm seeing is the true lockdown coming.
well, COVID was just one layer of
Yeah,
beta.
of
It's one
compliance.
one layer of incrementalism. They added a bunch of new tools to the surveillance. They tried to put in the tracking and tracing of people that get sick. And what they were really doing behind the scenes is expanding the surveillance state. That's really what it was all about. That's why they were practicing lockdowns to see who traveled where the holes are, where the dirt roads and the roads less traveled go, and how many people know about them and how many people will travel them. They picked up all that data.
Please remember civilizationcycle.com and also buy me a coffee /civilization cycle.